Most recent episode of All Things Geekery. It is not a review of Avengers Endgame, and there's a lot of spoilers. So that being said, I'm going to introduce everybody. You know me as Dan Trezomi of Where My Killer Tape At.
What's up? This is Bboy Cabi. I've been here a couple times before. You know, oldest son of Dan Trezomi.
And I'm Disc Dolo, coming from New York. I'm Dan Trezomi's brother, and of course, your uncle.
Yeah, he's
I'm here visiting, and
all lifetime nerds. He does, he DJs, I do
I'm a
poetry,
DJ.
and he just talks a lot.
Definitely. So, again, spoiler alert. And this is not a review. It's more about what are the loopholes, what are the plot holes, what are the things they got wrong, whether it's scientifically or with the canon. Or this episode is called Splitting Hairs with Bboy Cabi.
hold up, though. It's been what? How long since the movie came out?
It's been 4 weeks now.
If y'all ain't seen the movie yet, you should fucking.
Yeah,
I don't know what to say.
My logic is.
You can curse, right?
My logic.
Yeah.
My logic is, you know, if you haven't seen it yet, you don't have the right. Like, obviously don't care enough to be mad about spoilers. Like,
There shouldn't even be any more spoilers coming at this point.
You know, we told you,
I just don't want nobody yelling at me. That's all.
Well, you know,
I'm
when the
saying.
Spider-Man Homecoming trailer came out, that was when the spoiler block was officially released because Spider-Man Homecoming trailer. I mean, Far From Home. Spider-Man Far From Home trailer has Endgame spoilers in it.
But it came out a week afterward. I think going back to the Star Wars, The Force Awakens, there was like a 2 week.
There was 2
spoiler.
weeks.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks. So
Activates.
we're gonna go ahead and start the quote unquote time machine.
Yeah, if you didn't see Ant-Man 2, because I know some people didn't see Ant-Man 2 leading, you know, it's Ant-Man. But into Ant-Man 2, like post-credit scene of Ant-Man 2, they're doing like experiments in the quantum realm, and like which is like the super subatomic universe of time and space. And Ant-Man is there doing it. Like they send him in there. They're like, "Hey, yo, we're gonna pull you out in like 30 seconds."
And they got snapped.
And they got snapped.
He got stuck in there.
So he got stuck in
so
there.
fast forward 5 years later, the van is in the storage facility, and a rat crawls over the controls, and Scott Lang is released from the quantum realm.
He hits the buttons in the perfect order.
A lot of people are saying that that's like
goofy.
It's impossible or just mathematically improbable. I know me and Disc Dolo grew up in the Bronx. We're very familiar with rats.
Yeah,
so
rat culture.
If there's no food, rats ain't popping up at your spot. And you know that. And just with any vermin, we talk about rats, squirrels, raccoons. If you ain't got no food in your spot, ain't nobody coming in there. So
and, you know,
originally when I first saw it, I didn't see nothing that had to do with food. But then when you go back, we watched it again. There was a candy wrapper and there was like a ketchup bottle.
Yeah, there is food in the
there's
van.
food in
food
there.
materials.
So then I'm going to say that's not the first rat that's come through there. You know what I'm saying? So
also, you know, I watched a lot of YouTube videos and stuff, and there's a guy like, you know, shout out to Film Theory / Game Theory. Matt Pat is the man. He breaks down math and a lot of different stuff. Like math is his thing. Like he calculates like really weird nuanced stuff. He'd be like, oh, could a character like a video game character really survive this thing he does the whole time? Like logically speaking.
Disclaimer: I have a degree in math, by the way.
But let's stick with MCU stuff.
Okay,
right? Because we know that Doctor Strange.
I'm using him.
I know that, but let's stick with MCU. Let's try to keep it all in MCU.
I got you, and I'm using him to reference because he came out with a whole video about the rat. Actually, he came out with a whole video like how logical the rat would be, and he broke down like rats' feeding habits and like how far a rat travels from its nest to find food. And the amount of rats it would be in New York City or wherever at the time.
It was San Francisco.
Wherever he used metropolis. He was like a general metropolis, like in a metropolis area.
Yeah.
And so he was saying that it's actually not as unlikely as you would think.
Exactly.
For a rat to run across that exact spot.
Exactly.
I don't think he pressed those exact buttons. I think that's stupid.
Well, hold on. Yeah, that.
But what I'm saying, that's probably not the first rat that's been in there.
Also, half of the rat population was destroyed.
I didn't even think about that.
But rats multiply
like ridiculously.
Rats multiply ridiculously.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? And we do. I don't want to go outside of MCU stuff, right? But they. Again, I don't think that's the first rat that's been in there, right?
It took 5 years for it to happen. That's why I'm like, it's kind of logical. Like, I fully believe a rat to be running across.
But I think it would be like a rat going onto your keyboard and putting your fucking password in. So let's be real. I'm sure Penn didn't put like
a There were times when Banner was just flicking switches and he came back.
Maybe several rats. Maybe several rats did several. Like one rat hit like one button, and then one rat like turned it on, and then one rat had it like primed, and then another rat.
I can see a rat chewing the fucking wires and then causing calamity. And then not like sitting and pressing buttons.
Right.
Like New York.
I think that the rat thing is very proper.
That was goofy. That wasn't the first Goofy though. The first Goofy, my man pointed it out.
Yeah.
So Iron Man is like, yo, I'm stranded in space. Oxygen is running out tomorrow morning. I made sure
Yeah,
to remember
so
specifically.
you say 24. Let's say 24.
He didn't even say 24. He said tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. When
Oxygen is running out.
Yeah.
I'll be out of oxygen in the morning. They had ran out of food. They've been stranded for 22 days. And so, Tony Stark, he passes out because of the oxygen deprivation. He passes out. He's not dead yet. He's still
so
breathing.
tired. I mean, he's fatigued.
Yeah. So he passes out, right? And then Captain Marvel shows up, and then it's just like, bam, he's back on Earth. And my man here, Disc Dolo, was
He
like...
said we're 1,000 light years away.
From anywhere.
I
said that too.
He said from anywhere.
Oh, he said from the next gas station.
Yeah, from next
Right. So there were thousands, literally in the middle of nowhere. And Captain Marvel shows up, and then bam, she's just carrying him back to Earth. And he's like, well, were they really like if oxygen was running out the next morning, would they have made it back anywhere in time for Tony Stark to not be dead? Because she carried the ship. So
I could easily explain that.
Yes.
I could easily explain
I
that.
want to hear.
Easily explain that. Okay. Those ships have oxygen replenishers. They replenish oxygen in there. They you need power to do
tanks
that.
or something. Yeah.
You need power to do that.
Yeah.
It's not our rockets. When we send men and women to space, they use oxygen one. They have tanks of oxygen that eventually run out.
That was the issue.
But their technology, they have things that replenish the oxygen in your air, right? It's not, they don't put tanks of oxygen in there, right?
Yeah. But you still need energy.
You still need power. And he did say...
He said the fuel cells have been
He
ruptured.
did say the fuel cells have been ruptured. We have enough power to propel ourselves for X amount of days. And then they ran out.
I think he said 40 hours.
Yeah, they ran out, right? So they just needed a power boost.
So you're saying
she juiced the ship.
I can see that.
Yeah, so that's your explanation.
She juiced the ship.
So yeah.
Which goes into, I hate how ill-defined, because I haven't seen Captain Marvel. I have not. I will start
That's
with
where
that.
you fucked up at it. But I will say this: if you're gonna watch Endgame, you gotta watch all MCU.
Even in that movie though, her powers are ill-defined.
They're very ill-defined.
So like she becomes binary from what I understand. Towards the end of Captain Marvel, she masters her binary powers.
Pretty much.
And they don't really tell you what that means. So it's interesting that her power,
but then
which
again,
is implied to come from the Tesseract.
But
so
then
she has some
again,
kind of juice in her.
what we saw in Captain Marvel took place in the 90s.
So you say
now it's 2019. Over time, she was able to figure that out. Yeah. So there we go. We knocked out two.
Well, she's pretty powerful.
Yeah, two plot holes. There we go.
Yeah.
Two plot holes. Wanted to say this for last, but everything we had a debate about or an argument about went back to time travel, right? So what's up, guys? What you think? What you want to talk about first?
Like Thanos said, it all comes back to me.
He's inevitable. Time travel is inevitable. Time travel is a stupid film storytelling device ever because since we've never done it, we don't actually know how the rules work. So,
I lost X amount of money betting against them using the time travel thing.
You actually bet?
Yeah, I bet money. Now, don't get me wrong. I overcompensated because somebody bet me $100 that Wolverine was going to show up in the end credit scene. Somebody bet me that. So I was able to take that money and pay the other debts off. So that's fact.
He was like, I'm about to get $100 from that. So, I can put 50 on.
Yeah, I can put $10 here, $5
So you
here.
hedged it on a dumb bet from somebody else.
So
that's how gambling works.
That's
right?
how
That's
gambling
bet. You don't do one bet. You do 20 bets to hedge your crazy bet.
So the time travel was whack. And not because... And okay, so let me start with what I liked about the time travel. I like that they explicitly were like, yo, you cannot, and I had a coworker, and I hope he sees this, because he was dumb. I called him dumb for this. I'm still calling him dumb. He was like, bro, when Hulk explained it, it wasn't the same as when the Ancient One explained it. And I was like, bro, it literally was. The Hulk said, if you go to your past, that's your future, and your present is your past, and therefore you can't change.
Sense.
It does. But he was like, well, the Ancient One specifically mentioned alternate timelines. I was like, but if I tell you your future is different, that's telling you the alternate timeline.
Exactly.
So, I'm not going to mention his name because I don't put people's privacy out there. But you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, I like that they were like, yo, we're treating time as if it's like a location. And I dug that. They were like, hey, we're not time traveling.
Yeah, he's not time traveling.
We're the quantum realm is a universal constant. And we're going in here and popping out here.
Here, exactly.
And we're going in here and popping out here.
But the quantum realm kind of distorts time.
Yeah, even Ant-Man was specific about that.
He said I was going for 5 years, but it felt like 5 hours.
Yeah, and then when Tony Stark did it, he was like, I created a time-space GPS, which is essentially what they were doing. It wasn't trying to find out.
Because that's what Ant-Man asked for.
Ant-Man was just like, look, it's different down there. How can we navigate it? And that was what that was about. So I thought that was cool. It was about navigating through the quantum realm to get out shortcuts and find other places. So that was cool. But only thing is, time travel leads itself to like a bunch of weird stuff.
A lot of weird stuff. Yeah,
And
a lot
that,
of weird stuff.
and that leads to the next major plot contentions. So, I mean, where do we start with? I mean, so like Gamora. All right, so Gamora apparently shares cloud storage.
Not Gamora, Nebula.
I mean Nebula. Yeah, my bad.
Nebula, yeah.
Well, I love Nebula's plot art. It was dope.
Very dope.
It was
Very
dope.
dope, yeah.
But we've also literally before this film never spent any time on Nebula as a character. So even in Guardians of the Galaxy, she killed like a bunch of people and then joined the Ravagers.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know she had cloud storage. Apparently cyborgs do cloud storage, and that's how they found her out. They were like, "Yo, she went to the past, and then past Nebula was in the same solar system, so she was close enough." And they were like, "Yo, my cloud storage is different. Like somebody hacked my cloud. I don't know what's going on." And you find out it's the 2 nebulas. My brain doesn't store information somewhere else that's not my brain, so I don't know why a cyborg brain stores information somewhere that's not its brain.
That took a while to kind of understand. It's dope though how Thanos was able to figure everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's dope. Yeah,
It's easy to put it together. Thanos was like,
He's like, yeah.
But we did refer before we got on this segment of the video. We talked about how Thanos is actually a scientist.
Super genius.
He's a super genius. His father mentor was the smartest man on Titan. So it makes sense that when he was messing with Nebula, he was putting all these upgrades on her.
I also like,
and he wanted her to be able to hack. She's hacked into things
that makes
before.
sense, and they emphasize that Thanos personally put the modification on Nebula.
Exactly.
So it isn't just like he orders smart people around. Like I hate referencing the comics and the MCU films all the time because they are different. But like in the comics, like Thanos in his heart of hearts is a scientist. Like he is he's an intellectual guy.
There's actually a book written for the MCU called The Mad Titan about Thanos, and it's an MCU book, and it shows you how he grew up and how he figured out what that idea of getting rid of half of the universe. I mean, it's still a dumb idea, but it shows him as a scientist working on projects that his father worked on, and actually telling his father that some of the models that his father worked on was actually wrong. So yes, I mean, I know I'm nitpicking, but he is a scientist. On top of being a warrior, on top of being a sorcerer. Yeah, he's a chef. He's cooking with a gobo. Vegan stuff.
An amazing farmer. Because he had that whole crop in like a week apparently.
Yeah. So yeah.
The only reason why we bring up his science is also because he was able to reverse engineer PIM particles. Because Nebula was like, "Hey yo, I got this joint," and then he was like, "Cool, I can time travel now."
Yep.
He still had to use the Avengers time machine, if you notice.
He still had to use it. He still had to use it.
I feel like their machine is just keeping the door open on their side from the quantum realm.
Exactly.
And the quantum realm is dangerous. Like Hank Pym knows about it, 'cause that's his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So I get that Thanos wouldn't have occurred to it because it's
plus it was easier probably. You probably this is what we have, and then
the door's already open. They might as well just go through the door.
Go through the door. Yep. And especially the door would have put them at the Avengers headquarters,
where the Avengers were,
where the gauntlet was.
Which puts me to my major. Great segue. When Thanos rolled up, it would have been fantastic if Captain Marvel had already been there, as opposed to being somewhere in space to show up halfway through the battle and suddenly be very helpful. So my first major plot hole that bothered me is they should have waited for Captain Marvel before they time traveled. I don't think that...
They didn't expect to meet Thanos, though. I don't think they expect that to happen.
You shouldn't have expectations when it comes to time travel. If you got a really person who's like...
Well, Iron Man said it. The time kicks your ass back.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, if I'm doing something that involves cosmic level stuff, I want somebody who's a cosmic level...
They figured we're gonna do this in 3 seconds and be out, and then we have the stone.
Which blows my mind because, how are you in a rush when you can time travel?
You're right.
If you time travel, you don't have to rush anywhere.
That's a good point.
Well, they still had a finite amount of PIM particles.
No. Here's why I see why they went without Captain Marvel. So here's Captain America and Black Widow talking about how fucked up shit is, right? And then Scott Lang pulls up and he's like, "Hey, I have this idea." You're like, "Oh snap, that makes perfect sense." And then you go to Tony Stark. He's like, "Get out my face," right? So you're like, "We're gonna try to work it out anyway." And then he pulls up, and you're like, "You know what? Let's do this. Let's do it." Because you want to fix it. Remember, everybody. Rocket said it best. He said, he feels like Thor feels like a failure, but there's a lot of that going
We
around.
all fail.
You know what I'm saying? So I can see if I was in that same situation, I would want to jump in as soon as possible.
I hear you.
Right?
But when it comes to saving half the entire universe, you should probably just do it right the first time. And then includes waiting for your strongest person to show up. In my opinion, I would have waited. Because like, why are we rushing? I mean, we can time travel. If we leave it, we leave it here from now.
I'm gonna say this. Just and then we're gonna move on. They did not anticipate Thanos figuring out that it was in 2014.
Yeah, the whole shit would not be.
They didn't figure that. They didn't factor that in. Don't get me wrong. Captain America did say some of us are going places that we're familiar with. Don't act like something familiar is not going to happen. Yeah,
you're right.
You didn't factor that. So let's.
But
so
the places
I'm
they
gonna
were
move
going
on from that.
The places they were going.
I mean, they should have known the Power Stone was going to be.
We gotta talk about the Soul Stone. But go ahead. No,
the Power. No, my bad.
The Soul Stone.
The Soul Stone was where they
somebody had to die.
Yeah, somebody. We're gonna. But hold on. Finish your point.
I mean, no, we can move on. Okay.
I mean, I would say one thing though, but Captain Marvel is a kind of a dick to the Avengers because they were like, "Yo, we're a team." When she first came down, and she's like, "I'm gonna go get."
But
Thanos.
there's a reason for that.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying that.
It's
so I wouldn't be. I'd be reluctant to call her to be like.
You gotta watch Captain Marvel.
I hear you.
You gotta watch
and
Captain
that even
Marvel.
makes sense, but also keep in mind, you know, she's been like patrolling space as like a space Avenger for the last.
She in her mind, she's a creep.
I hear you. But Thanos was on his way to Earth, and at no point did she stop him, warn nobody, let somebody know, tell nobody, hey, Thanos is coming, try and hinder his progress. Thanos went to what is it, Xandar, to get the stone from the Nova Corps. He went to Asgard right after that. He's been zipping around the space lanes doing Thanos stuff, and like he's not even heard of Captain Marvel apparently. He wasn't like, oh man, we gotta go take, like, you know what I'm saying? Or even if she was a known threat, like where was she?
He probably did know her, but he didn't know her back. When he came back, he didn't know who she was.
That's true.
But Thanos is also arrogant.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and move on. Everybody back. The final snap was to get rid of Thanos and his whole squad, right?
Exactly.
Which that we said we're also gonna talk about like what actually happened to them.
And we felt like
it's true.
We felt like that most of Act 3 could have been avoided if someone just said, you know, once we snap the stones, the second thing should have been, let's snap it to send the stones back to where they came from.
See, when they were like, we're gonna put the stones back, I just knew that they were gonna use the stones to do that. Like at no point did I think they were gonna actually manually travel throughout time and place the stones back, because too many things could happen poorly.
Truly,
just like when Loki, you know, like ended up snatching one of the stones because like Iron Man accidentally got, you know, punked by Hulk coming out the elevator. I was like, that's a huge risk. So I'd have been like, bam, everybody come back, and then been like, bam, stones.
Well, you probably got like one snap per lifetime. No, so you can't just be.
No, I don't think so.
They don't snap twice.
After a couple of days, he did, and look what happened to him.
You're right, but
but he's like the most powerful dude.
I feel like Hulk is strong enough, only in the sense of like Hulk said, the radiation is mostly gamma anyway. So I feel like okay, so this was cool to me. So you notice when Thanos put the glove on the first time, right? Nothing happened. Like it was just in there.
What do you mean the first time?
The very first time he put his glove on, like his glove, not the Iron Man glove, right?
That was the left hand.
Whichever one.
That's what he threw me off.
You're right. He put his glove on the first time and nothing. You notice when the Hulk put it on, the energy started coursing up. You know, he started getting damaged by the energy as soon as they got in the glove. So Iron Man's gauntlet was not as effective of containing the power as the Dwarf Star gauntlet.
Did they use Uru metal? Probably.
Okay. Which is important to know. You know, like if they had the original gauntlet, perhaps the Hulk would have. Oh, definitely. Hulk would have survived.
They had it though.
They didn't have the original gauntlet.
Well, when they killed them, they could have took it.
It was ruined.
I know it was ruined. They could have probably fixed it, right?
Nah. Without the dwarf, maybe with the dwarf.
Potentially, they could have gone back. You're right. Yeah. Why didn't they go back to the?
Damn, I didn't think about it. There was another one. There was another one there.
But you know what?
They had the mold still.
The Tony Gauntlet had the quick release. I can take the.
I can buckle.
Yeah.
Because it was Stark technology.
Nano machine.
Stark technology.
Nano machine. Quick release. Quick release.
You're right. I guess, man. So okay, but also Hulk wouldn't have gotten injured wearing the Thanos glove. You know, he would just.
We don't know that.
I'm gonna have to go ahead and argue that, man. Because like I said, the radiation is mostly gamma, and while Thanos totally thrashed Hulk in his film, he had the Power Stone when he did so. Hulk is generally considered a Thanos level dude. Physically.
Well, we don't know if he used the Power Stone or not.
He had it on though.
but he didn't know he didn't use it. And let me say this. Let me say this.
But Thanos also
let me say this. Let me say this.
Yeah.
Let me say this about the Infinity Stones, right? You have to will them.
You're
to
right.
Use it,
You
right?
have to will them.
You have to say.
And-
You have to say, hey, Power Stone, give me the power to do this.
Yeah.
Hey,
And-
Mind Stone, give me the power to
But
use.
Thanos also
They don't.
Thanos didn't put on the glove altogether. He fucking took each stone and put it on. Granted, it got snatched out.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
That's true.
But
That's
he
true.
put each stone as he
You're
accumulated
right.
them or whatever.
Also, it's important to note that, and I like this, they showed this in the previous film, like, your brain has to expand to the Infinity Gauntlet once you wear it. Because,
True,
like, it's universal power.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and no human being, no being, not even Thanos level being, is, like, already equipped to deal with that kind of power. So it does take a person, any person, like, time to learn how to, like, their brain open up to the levels required.
I mean, it's also
See,
good. It's
you're
also good theory
referring
that
to the comic book right now.
Agreed.
You're referring to the
I
comic
am
book
referring
now.
to the
Yeah,
comic
you're
book.
referring to the comic book
I
right
am.
now. Yeah.
Only reason why I kind of say it goes here too is because Thanos barely used it once he got the gauntlet. He barely used the stones
Yeah,
even.
yeah.
They were very dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, very dangerous. to use.
They're very dangerous to use, period. Right? And that was why when Thor wanted to use it, they was like, bruh, chill. We got to figure out who wants to use it, and we have to be clear about how we're gonna use it.
Thor wasn't
So,
right state of mind.
often, and I know this sounds crazy because you're right. Somebody on that team should have been like, just snap your fingers and send everything back. You right.
That would've been
But you have to be clear in how to use those stones, right?
But also, I feel like that's
So
still
what did Tony do?
I feel like
I
that
guess
still
we'll
would
talk
have
about it
worked.
later, right?
I feel like that still would have worked for Hulk because Hulk literally walked up to the Ancient One and was like, "Yo." Like Ancient One gave him a one-on-one dissertation on the whole alternate timeline thing.
Yeah.
And so I think he did have the clearest objective of put it back.
Exactly.
Because he spoke to the Ancient One. About
I disagree
that
with that part because he tried to get Natalie back, even though he knew that she could not come back.
But that was that particular wish.
Yeah.
Snapped
You know, he
it back.
wasn't
That's
sure.
why you have to be clear in how you use the stones.
No, but you know what? He wasn't sure. He thought he could. But when he told.
But Hawkeye
He didn't-
said you can't do it.
Yeah, but
He
nobody
said it-
knew that until.
However,
until Hawkeye
that
came
doesn't
back.
even matter because whether or not he tried to wish her back,
Yeah.
that was like outside the. It wasn't an
True,
unclear
Nobody
wish.
knew. Nobody knew. Only
Not even
Thanos
that-
knew.
not even
Only
that.
Thanos knew.
It
that.
wasn't-
It wasn't.
No, Thanos didn't know
No,
till he pulled up.
The wizard told him.
Thanos didn't know
Let's
till
go.
he pulled up. That's my whole thing with that. When you know how people say when Nebula should have told them.
No, I'm talking
Nebula
about
didn't
after
know.
the fact. I'm talking after the fact. You know that to get that stone, you're gonna have to get somebody. And you ain't gonna get it back.
They didn't know that.
No, I'm talking about after the fact. He knew that. He's the only person that knew that.
Thanos is the only one that knew
Unless
that.
you
Yeah,
go there and
yeah.
find out,
Yeah,
you're not
you're
gonna
not gonna know.
So
Exactly.
nobody knew that.
Nobody knew that. You're right.
And
But-
Hawkeye told him that, but
Hawkeye
Hulk
told
was
him
like,
that,
I can try.
but also agreed. But that wasn't an unclear wish. That was just a wish outside of the purview of
Okay.
the stones. He wasn't like I'm unclear in my
But
purpose.
they're like Hawkeye. You're a
You're a regular
third tier
dude. You're a
fucking
regular
hero.
dude.
Yeah, so you're not a space
You're a regular
guy.
Yeah,
guy.
space
So
guy.
what do you know?
They
And he
figured
was
he
like,
could,
well, you go talk
yeah.
to the wizard,
Yeah.
man.
So maybe he didn't. You know, they kind of doubted.
That being said, I still think it should have been like, all right, stones go back to where you were. I feel like it would have used less power than destroying the stones. I feel like it would have been even easier because those stones weren't even from that timeline. So I feel like it would have caused less cosmic ripples to put them back where they belong. Because the Ancient One explicitly mentioned that the time stone, like the stones, are very important to the timelines they belong
Then
in.
on to yeah.
And she was like, being outside of their own timeline disrupts the time-space continuum. So I feel like it would have been even easier, like super easy, less demanding to be like.
I don't know. I think.
But then you wouldn't have had that big battle scene.
But we've already
I
had
don't-
that.
I don't-
We've already had that.
No, we didn't have that big battle
We
scene.
already had that big battle.
We did not have that big battle scene.
I think the
because and the reason why I say that is because here's an example.
You're right, the Asgardians weren't
the
there.
Black Order. The reason remember we had this debate about the Black Order
Yeah.
and how in this movie they got their butts whipped is because in Infinity War
It was just
they was
Wakanda.
split.
It was
It
just
was
Wakanda.
split. So all the heroes weren't there.
It
Now
wasn't-
they got all the heroes.
Well, okay,
and then some.
the heroes weren't that split by that scene.
And Wakanda didn't work because Iron Man and everybody and Guardians of the Galaxy
Iron
were on
Man,
Titan.
the Guardians of the Galaxy, and Thor were split. You're right.
Yeah.
But they killed Ebony Maw pretty handily.
But you're right. Yeah, they definitely knocked him.
No, in
space.
this one, Ebony Maw died. You know,
We're
with
talking,
the
he's
snap.
talking about originally.
Okay,
We're talking about originally.
okay.
Yeah, like
But
they were-
the armies were bigger in a literal sense, in the sense of they brought the wizards from the Sorcerer's Supreme spot.
True,
Like they brought
indeed.
all the wizards from the Haven,
And
which
Guardians.
I thought was cool because
Yeah.
that means they probably meant they spent the last 5 years building up their
And
forces
the Hulk,
again.
they're the Hulk.
Because they got destroyed during Doctor Strange.
That's strange, yeah.
So that was cool. They spent the 5 years.
Well,
building
there
up.
was more more other wizards. We haven't met them all yet.
Nah, they said Caecilius had been going around from haven to haven. Remember,
Okay.
the beginning of the movie was in Hong Kong.
You're right. That's why it's important to watch all the MC movies.
So I'm gonna say they spent the 5 years reteaching niggas magic. So that was pretty cool.
You think so? It would take 5 years to teach people magic?
Magic can't be easy, bro.
I'm just saying, you got 5 years to get your life together, get over PTSD. Like, it wasn't like people were like, well, you know what? Let's
I
just
feel
jump
like
back
that
to
would push more people
snap.
to study the ancient arts because they're like, I need to find some meaning to things.
Exactly.
And they went and joined the ancient order.
And we knew that there was going to be an end game. So everybody knew there was an end game. No, but the sorcerer motherfuckers.
The sorcerers definitely.
They knew there was going to be an end
The
game.
sorcerers definitely had prophecies and communication.
Or something else happened like that again.
Unless what's her name wrote it.
Unless something like happened.
Manuscripts.
There was manuscripts.
I'm talking about
and then also
ancient ones,
the Asgardians showed up to this fight. Because like the Asgardians that were left the new Asgard. Also, I didn't even think about this when they snapped everybody back. That also meant, did that mean half the Asgardians came back too? Like did Thanos kill half that?
Everybody came back, yeah.
Because not all the Asgardians were killed before Infinity War.
All the rats came back.
Split.
Too.
All the rats came back too,
I want to talk about the fact, this isn't even a plot hole, but it's just something I was thinking about. Like more than 50% of people died. Can you imagine like
I don't want to get into that here.
Like,
I don't want to get into that. No, he's right.
Crashed,
I agree with him.
Planes crashed, doctors died.
And then when they came back,
people committed suicide. You know what I'm saying?
More people died when they came back.
That's a good point.
You know, more people died when they came back. So yeah.
You know what?
Here's might have half of the population dying. They can't reproduce.
This to me leads to the reason why I brought that up is because Thanos' whole thing was like overpopulation. Like that was his like logical reason.
Which is a very Republican conservative thing to say.
You know, but it's an overpopulation. And I was just wondering to myself, like, are we back to where we were? We bring at 50%? And I was like, nah, a lot of niggas died. But also, Thanos literally said it. He was like, I'm gonna destroy this world and then create a new universe. Destroy the universe.
He destroyed the universe.
And create a new universe teeming with life.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so you know you can use the stones to create life then. So why don't you just do that instead of killing?
No, because those people are already tainted. They're already corrupted by the.
You want to start from the beginning.
Yeah, you want to start people that you want to be able to mold.
I hear you. But I can just create twice the life in the universe.
Well, that's the
now you split hairs.
I can do.
That defeats.
Now you split hairs.
Look at that, resources for everybody.
Look.
Abundant resources.
His theory was that half of the world would make the world a better place because they're not consuming as much. So he was like, that didn't work because y'all motherfuckers are not happy. So I'm gonna kill all of y'all and start a whole new 50% of motherfuckers.
That won't stop from the beginning.
But I'm saying, but he ain't gonna make it. Whereas obviously he ain't gonna overpopulate the fucking world.
Now we split hairs.
That's what it's about. Consistencies and power sets, and you know, I hesitate. These films have not established really good power leveling for the characters at all. Like it's like a
especially really with the Hulk.
Especially with the Hulk. So you know, I'm not trying to be like a nitpicky. You know, Dragon Ball, their power level is 25,000. His is 30,000. Nothing like that. But one, Thor should not have been worthy, and therefore, it was inconsistent. So like, Thor used Stormbreaker as a beer bottle opener and was threatening children.
I kind of feel like you're doing respectability politics right now.
It was disrespecting children as the God of War. Like you, bro. We read comics, bro.
But we gotta really we can't really jump into the comics.
You're right. But worthiness is like a lot of different things.
I think he was unworthy until his mom said, "Well."
Yeah,
she said, "Listen, being a hero is not being all powerful. It's knowing what your role is." I think from that point on, when he got back to the hammer, he realized, "Yo,
let's stick to the MCU." Good point.
That's what I'm saying.
MCU.
I think that's when it was.
When Odin put Mjolnir together, he put the chant in there.
Whosoever.
You know what I mean? He put the chant in there. Matter of fact, in Thor #1, when he sent Thor back to Earth. You could see him chanting into the Mjolnir, right? So when they did Stormbreaker, they didn't do that.
I'm not saying there was a word.
They didn't do that. I think I honestly think you're splitting hairs.
My issue is.
Well, Stormbreaker was like, I'm ready to fucking kill Thanos.
Yeah.
So that was just like, yo.
At the end of Infinity War, Thanos literally shot a full gauntlet blast at Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Thor smacked it with Stormbreaker. I always want to call it Yarnborn for you comic fans out there. We know that's Yarnborn. That's not Stormbreaker, but whatever.
Yeah.
You shot it at Stormbreaker. Okay. It's more Yarnborn than Stormbreaker. Yarnborn is a weapon to kill Celestials.
True indeed.
And it's a giant axe.
Okay.
But whatever. So, and he smacked it out of the way. He just cut it in half with Stormbreaker, and then cut Thanos almost in half full gauntlet Thanos.
True indeed.
Who was using the power at the time.
True indeed.
But now, Thor with Mjolnir and Stormbreaker cannot fight a non-Thanos gauntlet.
A non-gauntlet
Thanos. Like, and I get that he's like weaker, he's like not believing in himself, whatever. But you still like apparently you are though because you have
Cap and Iron Man. So
well, number one in Infinity War, Thanos didn't use his armor.
Yeah, but he had the fucking gauntlet.
No.
You can't hear him.
No. He didn't use his arm. He didn't use his armor.
Get out of
He
here.
had his armor this time.
Get out
right?
of here,
He had his armor this
yo.
time.
I mean, the armor.
He also had that double-bladed sword that has a metal that we're not familiar with that works like
That
works
can cut through.
actually is better than vibranium because vibranium absorbs
He cut
energy.
the fucking shield.
It shoots. It destroyed Captain America's shield,
Yeah,
and it deflects energy blasts.
Can we talk about for a second how dope that scene when Thanos is like rolling up with his whole army and Captain America was like, nigga, it's just me with a broken shield.
Yeah, that was.
And
dope.
was still about it, yo.
Yeah,
My
that's
man-
why it makes Captain
My man
America
tied the shield to
with
his
a bloody arm.
Yeah, tied
He's
the
like
shield
a
to-
dope fiend tying up his arm like the shit.
Yeah,
Like in
bro.
the middle of his trap
He
house.
tied.
He looks so bad.
He was like, I'm not dropping it. I'm not dropping the shield. Like,
That's when I thought he was gonna die. I thought he was gonna die in that scene. Yeah.
that was a great scene.
Yeah, so-
All right, but aside from the dopeness of that moment, it was a dope moment. All right, so apparently, like Thanos is just stronger than Mjolnir and
Yeah,
Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker all of a sudden is like fucking.
A regular axe.
Yeah.
Like Stormbreaker's as strong as Mjolnir now, apparently. And then
Even fucking Captain America wielded it. Because remember in
yeah, he
Infinity
caught
War,
it. He caught it.
In Infinity War, he was like, anybody wields this shit, they'll die. He said that about
That's true.
Stormbreaker.
Yeah.
He
You
was
said
like,
anybody
he
did.
was like,
So
he
there
was
is a
like, why
worthiness
can't?
on it. There is a worthiness on it.
I
When
think-
they
think-
built the axe, they were like,
He
yo,
said that.
But it's not.
Didn't Rocket say I can wield it? And he was like, or somebody was like,
it'll melt your brain or
He was
something
like,
like that.
destroyed. Yeah, he was like,
It'll melt your brain.
Armor fall off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said that in Infinity
The
War.
dwarf said that.
He said we're going to a place to make Thanos killing weapons that'll probably kill
And
you.
he was
Yeah,
like,
And they were like, can I get one? And he was like,
Nah, it'll
you
melt your
can't wield
brain.
that. Yeah,
Nah,
destroy it.
So
But
there is
Captain
some kind
America-
of there is
Captain
some kind of
America-
worthiness on
Captain
it.
America could wield it.
There's some kind of
He
worthiness on
had
it.
both of them,
Yeah, but
right?
I'm
He
saying,
switched
but-
up with them,
Yeah.
right? I think we're splitting hairs with the Mjolnir thing. I really think we're splitting hairs with Mjolnir thing.
Aside from,
I mean, we're just saying that he should have been powerful enough.
yeah,
to
like he
fucking
should have been able to
gun
fight
with
Thanos,
that
bro. He should have been able to fight Thanos.
Well, I'm gonna say this, and here I am nitpicking, right?
Splitting hairs.
No, here it is. You actually said it, right? It's a self-esteem thing, right?
I hear
it's
you.
a self-esteem thing.
about
In
Thor?
the beginning of Endgame, Thor was sitting in there, and you all said that Thor was a bitch, right? Right? We're sitting in there,
did.
and Thor was like, yo, and Rocket was, Tony Stark was like, what's wrong with that guy, right? And he said, yo, he feel like he failed. There's a lot of that going
I hear you,
around.
but
At that
And
he was still strong there. He was
we
strong
know,
there. He
we know
wasn't-
that boxers.
He wasn't that bad.
We know that boxers.
But-
we know that boxers.
But
right?
and I will counter that with
Okay.
he had to have gotten over those self-esteem problems if he was worthy enough to wield Mjolnir.
But Mjolnir.
and fucking
And
Stormbreaker.
No. But we all know that Thor is worthy. It was just Thor didn't know he wasn't worthy.
But Thor knew it once he picked up the hammer, so that means self-esteem issues gone. We fighting.
You're missing my point.
He still wasn't at 100%.
I'm talking
you
about. Listen to me. You didn't let me finish with the boxers, right? You have a boxer that is undefeated, 25 fights.
Yeah.
And then they run into that one fight where they lose, and they're not the same person.
Okay.
And I could bring you people
Okay.
I could bring
No,
you
that's-
scientists that
I
can
hear
tell you that.
I hear you.
Yeah.
It's not
I hear
a
you.
physicality thing. It's not an athletic thing. It's a mental thing.
My only
matter
issue
of
with
fact,
that- my
matter of
only
fact,
issue
when
with
they
That's why
matter of fact, when
Captain
they
fucking wield the
That's
hammer.
happening.
matter of fact, when they pulled up to Thor at New Asgard, and they was like, "Yo, Thanos," he's like, "Don't mention that name in here."
Yeah.
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying?
And I'm not disputing.
Matter of
that
fact,
Thor-
even in Infinity War, when he's talking to Rocket about Thanos, he's like, "Wait a second, Thanos already beat you," and he's like, "Nah, he ain't beat me yet." He said, "Yeah, he already beat you
He did,
once."
he did. He
You know what I'm
did say
saying?
that. It was
So
pretty
it's not even a.
I'm
He
not-
was worthy to pick up Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, but that self-esteem thing about fighting Thanos.
I hear
That's
you.
the same
And
thing
that-
with the
and that
Hulk.
even-
Where the
and
Hulk
that-
couldn't come out against Thanos.
and that
he
even-
already was broken by
and
Thanos.
that
No,
even
this
makes
is no
sense.
the Russo brothers explained that Hulk thing.
Yeah,
They said that it wasn't that he was scared. This is that he felt the fact that they only used him to do certain shit. He was like, y'all not using me no more.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah, that's kind of level of
he said I got
wokeness and shit.
He said I got threat. Oh, wait, that's another inconsistency, by the way, because like they went from like, okay, Hulk is developing his own personality, and that's why he's rebelling against Banner, to Banner and the Hulk are the same guy. So I was like. So
they came to a happy compromise.
Nah, bro, because no.
The
reason why I disagree with that. No.
Okay.
When an Ancient One knocked Bruce Banner's soul out, the Hulk's body fell. Then it means that's one entity in that body.
But he said in the beginning in the freaking egg scene with the kids in the selfie.
Exactly.
He said
Which he found a happy medium.
Exactly.
Which took him 5 years.
He didn't say 5
years. He said Thor helped him.
He said it took me 18 months.
Yeah.
He said Thor
helped him get there.
You're mixing stuff up.
No, but he said when
he said I was in a rough place. Thor helped me.
That was in Thor Ragnarok.
That was in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
That was Thor Ragnarok.
When he told him in
that was Thor Ragnarok. Because I was in a rough spot. You helped me out.
And look, I don't mean to end this like this. But the reason why we haven't moved forward is because you're splitting hairs, bro. That's what you're splitting hairs. Because you notice that we go here and then you go this way, and we go here, you go that way.
That's because they've established rules and they break them. They're like, the reason why the Hulk didn't fight before is because his own personality is beasting with Bruce Banner. But now we don't even resolve that.
It wasn't it was just that he felt like he was being used.
It doesn't matter. He had
a
different personality.
Yeah.
It was a different personality that was not Bruce Banner. That was beefing with Bruce Banner and had resentment towards Bruce Banner because I didn't want to be used anymore.
And he didn't want to be used anymore.
But then all of a sudden, Bruce Banner and the Hulk are not two separate entities. They're the same person.
But they came to that happy medium in that 5 years.
And the 18 months actually. He said it took me 18 months and the gamma lab.
So he just
He didn't say. He didn't say.
Ladies and gentlemen.
He said I can't conclude to me and the Hulk are the same person. Because
there was a time
the Ancient One
when he's gonna be 25 in June.
Soul.
There was a time when I did things like this. I split hairs. I did this.
Did you use Madonna or did you use the fucking Stormbreaker to split hairs?
Well, technically it would have been Janjaborn, right? But I didn't know Janjaborn.
It was Jarnborn.
Yeah, Jarnborn. Whatever. Jarnborn. I would have used Jarnborn.
Only in acts that
but I didn't know Jarnborn didn't exist until 2012. So
only in acts that can cut a Celestial with split hairs this month.
There you go. So there you have it. We're gonna go ahead and end it right here.
One more point. But
this is more like a this is more like a question mark. None of us have a conclusion on this. It's just an inconsistency that we found that we were like, what will that mean for future installments of the series?
Okay.
Also to the timeline.
Also to the timeline. Yeah. Which also we got to bring up the Loki thing as well if we're gonna bring up.
Nah, let's not fuck with the Loki thing.
Alright, so
we'll do that when the series come out.
Alright, so that's true because they're coming out with a Loki series. Iron Man snaps at the end. Everybody turns to dust.
Everybody.
Everybody that Thanos came with turns to dust. Did they die, or were they sent back to their timelines? Because technically the Ancient One was like, yo, you can't actually change timelines. So if you were to have killed Thanos then, it would have created an alternate timeline,
yep.
And therefore not changed their timeline. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, Thanos dying there necessarily doesn't change the timeline because that was just that Thanos's timeline. Because by snatching the stones, they did create an alternate timeline just on their own of Thanos following them to the present.
I already got a headache thinking about this.
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense.
Time travel is stupid.
I agree. It was like a real petty solution, but it wouldn't matter because you're gonna send the time stones back to where they came from.
Exactly.
So it wouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter.
Except for the fact that they've explicitly said use of time stones creates timelines.
Plus Thanos would have.
But if you're bringing it back to that.
No, but Thanos would have died at this time, and then, well, that reality would have died at that time, so he can't go back in the stones.
And then that Thanos would have died.
But
if we go back and take the stones back, Thanos wouldn't have traveled to the future anyway.
No, he would have.
To die.
See, now you're making that fucking.
No, you're fucking me up because okay.
We need a diagram.
Here you go. So that's 2014 Thanos, right?
2014 Thanos.
He died in 2023.
Okay.
Right. So we killed him. We killed him, right?
He's dead.
But if I go back and put the time stones here, then 2014 Thanos comes here. Boom. He goes to 2023, and then he dies. There's never a snap.
There would be a snap because you get the stones back.
Yeah, but if I put the stones back right before at the
He
exact,
was
the
still
exact
at
moment I
Stone.
grabbed him.
He was to get stoned.
Yeah, the exact moment I grabbed him, Thanos never went to the future because I put the stones back. And the only reason why he went to the future is because he saw us taking the stones. So if I put the stones back, Thanos does not follow us.
That's a good point.
There's
That's a
nowhere.
good
There's
No,
nowhere to follow.
because if I bring everything back to where I stole it from,
Everything still has to happen.
everything still has to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even,
If I put it
So
back,
the snap has to happen
The snap
too.
happens, yeah.
But if I
mean-
kill 2014 Thanos, the snap doesn't happen.
You killed
Then I
2014
just created.
Thanos.
I just created an alternate
You
see what I'm saying?
timeline.
No, you killed 2014 Thanos of
I
that timeline.
just created an alternate timeline. So
You didn't,
what-
but,
That's just a
but you go
fucking
back
mind
at the end of the
fuck.
alternate timeline you created, and then
No.
uncreated.
I'm not going back to 2014. I'm going back to 1970, 2012.
They went back to 2014. They went to
the original snap's still gonna happen.
That's what
The
they
original
got.
snap does happen in 2018.
But they went to 2014. They put
It's
the
still gonna
stone
happen,
back.
though.
Bro.
It's still gonna happen, I'm saying.
Bro,
No.
they
No,
went
I-
to 2014 to get the stone from Vormir, or the
Yeah,
soul
yeah,
stone
yeah.
and the power stone.
And the Power Stone, yeah.
So they had to go back to 2014 to put it back.
That's still gonna happen.
Which means
The
Thanos.
first one's still gonna happen.
Okay, so
yeah,
it's not
see what I'm
hap- okay,
saying? See what I'm
okay.
saying?
I stand corrected.
Thanos is like, all right,
stand
cool.
corrected.
When Thanos gets to 2014, he either does what he does normally in the films,
Yeah.
or follows us to 2023. But if I put the stone back, he does not follow 2023.
You're
No,
right.
but it's still,
There is no
he's still gonna do it.
No, he's still
Because
gonna do it
has to
because-
snap. We still
yeah,
have
because
to
still has to
reverse
snap.
the first
Yeah,
snap.
the initial
yeah,
snap,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
We still
But not-
reverse it.
But not the new.
So then, what we're saying is this shit fucking works.
yeah, it
So
should.
he didn't die then. He
Should.
got sent back.
Should.
No, whether you kill him or send him back, it don't matter
Because I put the stones
because the
back.
stone's back.
So I put the
It's
stone
still
back.
gonna keep repeating. It's gonna be a
No,
infinite loop.
It is
No,
a loop. It is a loop.
one
If I-
loop. It's only one loop.
If I put
Okay.
the stone back,
Yeah.
It's only one loop.
Thanos doesn't follow nobody to the future.
But he still does the first snap. So you
Exactly.
still have to do it.
The first.
Yeah, but it's only one loop.
No, this is the first snap. You
Yeah.
still have to go into the whole fucking.
Agreed, but we're talking about what happens with Thanos presently now.
Oh, so you're saying the killing doesn't change it?
Yeah, change it, yeah.
If I kill him then,
So
and
then-
I put the stone back,
So then
he
it's
didn't
not
follow
a
me
it's not
then.
a problem.
You see what I'm saying?
It's not a problem then.
But that's why time travel is dumb.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's
We
just
could agree
like
on that.
it could be a problem and we just don't know.
Okay. So that being said, thank y'all for listening to another episode of All Things Geekery. We had a special guest, DJ Disc Dolo.
You.
Hopefully we can do this again in the future. Last time we did this with Thor Ragnarok. But you guys want to give your social media stuff?
Was it Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah,
Star
Thor
Wars?
Ragnarok.
Was it Star Wars?
No, Thor Ragnarok. We did last.
Okay.
Yeah. So you guys want to give your social media stuff so people contact you? Go ahead and give it.
This Dolo Instagram, Mixcloud. I got my mixes up there. Also do a bi-weekly show on Bonfire Radio. This
Side note,
Dolo
he's ill.
presents.
Like he's actually
So
really
check
good
it out.
Yeah.
musically.
Yeah, man, and oh yeah, I didn't see How the Duck in the fucking second.
But we're gonna. I'm gonna put all the information in the show notes
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you'll be able to
definitely.
link them up. And then
Also, happy graduation to my niece. That's
Definitely.
Hey,
Definitely.
that's what we
Yeah.
all united for.
Yeah,
It's,
it's
it's the vegetable.
Avengers Assemble, right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Exactly.
Yeah.
Bboy Cabi, Bboy Cabi. That's my Instagram. I do poetry. Me and my girl are coming out with a blog sometime in the next 6
Oh,
to
wow.
12, next 6 to
I know
12
that.
months.
They
We're
still
gonna
do
be planning
blogs
for it.
or do a podcast.
It's gonna be a little bit of everything.
Okay.
It's gonna be a website that's gonna have everything on it.
Okay,
She does
truly.
fitness stuff. She's gonna do yoga. I'm gonna do poetry stuff. Probably some modeling. We got some plans because she wants to do photography as well. We got some
Okay.
plans. We got some plans.
Okay, truly.
So follow B-Boys. Keep an eye on B-Boys Zombie. And yeah, man, stay nerdy.
Definitely, you can find me on the Twitters at Dan Trezomi, DNTRESOMI. I am on Instagram at Brother Omi. I'm also with my Killer Tape ad is on SoundCloud. All this information will be on the show notes. Look out for Mortal Man. We're still doing the Kickstarter for that. I'll also put that in the show notes. Shout out to AP2 Photography. We'll be releasing the book in June. Peace out.
And I guess we'll see you guys when the next Star Wars movie happens.
Oh, that'll be dope in December.